Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Sam, Bo3, and to our farthest right, per usual, is Rex Shady Nero. And guys, we are slowly but surely inching our way towards the Call of Duty season, but we are indulging in some Black Ops Cold War action the past week and a half now. And I think all of us cannot be any more excited.
No.
A ton to talk about today. News when it comes to like GAs, meta, Black Ops Cold War, some ROSTERMANIA stuff, tons of challengers and like the pro players, the ex-pro players now that are playing in challengers. And we are going over the top 5 players from every single role in Call of Duty.
Whoa.
It's going to be exciting. It's a hot one today for sure, a spicy one. But before we get to any of that, guys, I've got to ask, guys, what is going on?
Well, Josh, I'm feeling like a ballpoint pen, right? And the ink
so festive
is seeping out of the tip of the pen, and I want to take it to paper, and when I do, it just smudges a little bit, and I just can't get it to write like I want it to write. Until I wiped it with a napkin, and then I was able to write clear as day. And that felt pretty good.
It's always the worst when it seeps from the tip. Sam, how you doing?
It was good until that happened, until that last sentence.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
God.
I hate when the pens leak, you know? It's the worst.
Yeah,
Same.
it's terrible. Wow. Yeah. Cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What?
Doing all right? Enjoying Cold War still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sure am.
Good.
I sure am.
Good.
Oh my God.
Well, guys, we got a lot to talk about today. We got a ton to talk about today, obviously. You can watch on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, which per usual, as you guys know, we like reading these reviews. And today, we've got one, or maybe 2, we'll see. From Laser Plays, who says a top 2 podcast out there.
Oh, wow.
My number 1 podcast to go to listen every single Wednesday. This podcast helps me get through the pain that Modern Warfare continues to give. Easily the best choice to have a great time and just chill out. It's the perfect mix between news, questions, and having fun. This podcast brings updates to the CDL, but personality helps separate this podcast from any other esports news podcast out there. 100% must watch 5 stars for me. Laser Plays, leaving it out on the line for us, baby.
Dang.
Let's go.
Thanks, Laser.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank you.
But yeah, drop a comment on YouTube as well if you want to get a shout out and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, of course, if you want to get potentially, read on the podcast.
Yeah.
But like we've been doing lately, we've been doing a little bit of a quick question before we get into the whole rest of the show. And today we've got a pretty interesting quick question.
Let's hear it.
One that I saw on the Reddit, and I was like, this could be a fun little way to open up the show.
shout out.
So the question is, this is also kind of like a preview discussion for later in the episode, potentially. A little preview of player v player action here. Who would you rather have in Black Ops Cold War on your team? ILLeY or Priestahh? Pretty interesting. Either of you got like a... Okay.
ILLeY.
Rex, fire away then.
ILLeY.
ILLeY?
ILLeY is like, I think he's turning into that player that's like becoming that glue, I think, for that Empire squad, and a big reason as to why they're as good as they are. I think his communication skills are like top notch. His playmaking abilities are top notch. And he's always been in the S&D scene, so he's like, and he's been around a while, so like, he's amazing at the game. I would take ILLeY any day of the week. And he's new and up and coming, so he's only going to get better.
I mean, that's on par with Rex's brand. But I mean, I don't say. What are your thoughts?
Jeez. Oh gosh.
It's really close for me, for sure.
Yeah.
They're both, right around that top 10 player mark, at least in my opinion. They're right there. I mean, do you have an opinion around 3 up? I can go if you want.
Gosh.
I mean, Priestah's stock went down with FaZe.
It did. It did, because it felt like he was overshadowed by ILLeY and Simp and Cellium. And I do think, in a way, it went down. But I think that's because of the role he was playing. I mean, in Black Ops 4, he was one of the most sought-after players heading off that year because of how good he was at 100T. But again, it just came down to the role that he got to play on that team overall. And I think heading into Black Ops Cold War, if you need him to be the Slayer that Minnesota needs, like, He's going to be really, really good, man. I'd probably lean Priestahh in like the slightest of margins.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to be fair, ILLeY's X factor is the S&D sniping, and that is kind of hard to pass up for a player.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. I'm on the fence. I'm going to lean Priestahh, but just slightly.
I'm like honestly stumped. Cause like, yeah. Sniping is huge, but then like to me, if you're to put someone on a team and make them better, like you're right. Oh gosh. I don't want to.
They both could make another player better for sure.
Yeah.
I have a little bit more faith in Priestahh.
Yeah.
And I mean, just because we've seen it year after year now at this point, I mean, considering ILLeY, we're heading into his second year, there could be some room for regression.
But even when ILLeY was a young guy who's on that United Cadet squad, like he's been around for so long and he's always been like God tier. Like everyone knew he was getting picked up in Black Ops 3 and he was like, however, like 15 or 14 back then.
Yeah, it's actually
and they're
wild.
like, oh, he's going pro. They already knew.
I'm going to place my bet on ILLeY.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer there because they're both fantastic players.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a quick question. Drop your comments down below, of course, about who you believe would who you would take. But with that said, guys, I think it's about time that we head into this news of the week and talk about what's going on.
Man.
So let's head right into it. Let's go.
Let's do it.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
That guy has a weird voice.
Yeah, it sounds kind
I
of.
don't like that guy.
Sounds kind of similar to someone.
I
know.
hate that guy. I don't know how he even got on here.
Wow. Okay.
That news drop guy is crazy, boy. But all right, we got a lot to talk about today. Should we open up with the kind of like the GA conversation? So
yeah,
let's do it.
obviously, you know, we've started to see the scrims come out in the pros. The pros are starting to scrim a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And because with that, now that people are getting used to this game, we're getting an idea of what this competitive rule set could be. And the COD League dropped their first rule set.
Yes.
Some of the things were a little interesting overall. Like we saw the issue that they had with the Semtex that wasn't supposed to be on the list, but it was, and they finally fixed it.
Yeah,
and,
that was weird.
And they listed the Modern Warfare LMGs originally on the list and not the Black Ops Cold War LMGs. It was just a weird situation overall. But basically, like, now they got to a point where it's like, all right, you know, it makes sense overall. And then compared with the rule set, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a second, the GAs kind of started coming out. And the things that we kind of assumed would be GA'd were out there, basically. And then the newest thing, of course, GA'd supposedly. And in the EU scene currently, the AK-47, which we're going to talk more about that too, has been GA'd. So your thoughts on the GA list currently and where it's at, and like what's happening? What do you think about the GAs? Rex?
I think the EU with the AK-47, I think that's weird. I don't even know if NA is even like considered doing that, because I feel like everyone has sort of just been using it, or the Krig at this point.
Right, up until like today, basically, when it's weird.
Yeah, so just Europe like randomly comes out with that. So I'm like, does that mean everyone else is going to follow suit with that? Or like Europe, it seems like it's trying to make their own sort of like name for themselves maybe in the scene, which may end up being a good thing.
Right.
So, I mean, otherwise, I think the GAs look pretty good. Semtex being GA'd, but that's un-GA'd now, so like, or unrestricted. So, I think it's pretty good.
So far, the EU scene is the only one to actually publish directly their GAs, right?
Yeah, Luti's been keeping them updated. Yeah,
because like I didn't know if like the pro scene had like put out like a spreadsheet saying this is for sure our GAs or not.
Well, yeah, Luti's has been using that Google Doc and it's been keeping it pretty up to date.
Yeah,
I've noticed teams have only been using like 2 trophies, I think, and respawns.
Yeah, so they're keeping that up. So right now, where it's at is, well, at least with the European GAs, is AK-47's GA'd. All laser sights are GA'd, which is what happened last year. And then Europeans were using 3 trophies. That's been the difference between Europe and NA right now. Most of the NA teams were using 2. Smokes, they've been 1 smoke and respawn, 2 in SD. That's the same as Modern Warfare. Tac rifles GA'd, which is assumed. Perk, and then the perk greed has been GA'd, and gearhead and score streaks. So that's assumed. Gearhead was it's funny that they added in Gearhead because the competitive scene was like, yo, trophies are gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then they lowered down the time and end up working out anyway.
Mhm.
Funny. And then score streaks, rip.
Dude,
Yep.
like, just make it so they reset on death so we can have them in competitive again. Oh.
Yep.
But I have my guess. This is my conspiracy: is that the pros don't want kill streaks, score streaks at all, and they're happy with them not being in the game at all. It's just for us fans that want it. That they find. So even if they did go to reset on death, I'm not convinced they would still even keep them. That they would use them anyway.
Yeah, some pros it seems like they for sure want them,
Mhm.
but I would imagine the majority of pros prefer them not being in there.
Yeah.
It probably be like it could be like a 60-40 split though.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, not wanting to have the kill streaks as a pro, and it's just kind of like maybe ruins competitive integrity in your mind, but like it's such people play COD to get streaks. Like it's such a
Right.
essence of the game. To just remove that is it eliminates some fan base, I think.
Yeah. By the way, I'm digging the ornaments in the background here.
Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas. Or
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving, then Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. But
Yeah.
where are you at with the score with the whole GA situation?
Yeah. GA. I mean, it's making sense. Again, I'm assuming that most people are using the same ones as the EU, except for the AK-47. I'm sure has not quite been all agreed upon, but for sure, just like the whole the whole trophy discussion, with smokes and stuff. There definitely could be way too many trophies, right? If everyone's running Gearhead
way too many.
two.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that needs to be GA'd. Smokes for sure. I can't stand when
There's too many.
there's too many.
Yeah.
So I think this is right on par with what we're doing.
Right.
I honestly have no qualms. Again, score streaks, like you said, Rex. I would love for some way, somehow, for it to just even be two available. Give us the cruise missile and
Right.
maybe
and artillery for her respawns and
artillery.
RC with S&D or something.
Yeah. So I don't know.
The
I don't
messy
know.
situation that I see happening is that I think NA is gonna GA all wild cards. So you'll just use the overkill one or whatever the overkill's called.
Mhm.
You'll use that and then just not actually use overkill.
That's an interesting take. I haven't seen them. I hear most people are doing the perk greed at this point.
Right.
But
right.
some people
But
are
then
also using the gunfighter. It's almost like they pick and choose. If you're
some
greed,
teams are GAing both. Yeah.
Mhm. Cause I know just briefly watching Formal stream, he was using gunfighter
yeah.
on his Krig and using all it attachments.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they for sure do not want perk greed. For sure.
No, definitely not because they don't want
Yeah.
everybody having gun ho and
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, that makes sense.
So then the question is, do they want everyone to have 8 attachments too?
Which I don't think they're gonna want to,
Yeah.
unless they're gonna unless they just GA laser sights,
Yeah,
and then from there on out you just let them use everything else,
Yeah.
which is possible.
possible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not convinced they'll. I mean, you would think they're going to GA it, but for some reason, I don't think they will. Just from what I've seen, people are are you running greed or are you running gunfighter? And they're using it in scrims. They're assuming that's going to be in.
Yeah,
But
I think greed's definitely gonna get GA'd. Yeah, gunfighter's the question. I just don't know.
maybe it's for certain modes they'll be GA'd or something.
Yeah, I just think it could be a pretty messy situation because it's if they end up getting GA'd, it's that's so hard to enforce on. You have to start enforcing that. How do you enforce that in game in a ranked play? You can't. Because are they going to really ban all? I mean, maybe they do. I'd be surprised if you competitively in a ranked play ban all all of the perk. What are they called? Wild cards.
Yeah,
Well,
but what about trophies even? If we have a ranked play, they're going to what else are people running?
Yeah,
that's
see,
not
yeah.
trophies?
right. That's another problem. Is that
Jammers, maybe.
Well, that's the big problem. Is that right now, yeah. So they're you only get to have 3 trophies per team or whatever, 2 trophies or 3 trophies depending on who what the GA is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we saw in CDL playlist in Modern Warfare was that you had the trophy GA, and then you just have tons of trophies on the map in CDL playlist, which is probably what's going to happen in ranked play.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. I mean, back even in World War II, with there were some issues with the GAs in there too. It's just gonna happen. But this game is looking like it could be a little bit messy with the GAs when it comes to having a ranked playlist, just because that's the biggest issue with GAs is that it makes it hard to enforce in ranked play if they're not officially rules.
Yeah.
So the CDL really needs to step in and start, hopefully by the CDL, by the time we have a league play, steps in it and actually makes these things official rules. Otherwise, it's going to get messy. So that's my biggest worry.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you think people are going to run if they're not running trophies? Or you think pros are going to be utilizing jammers to try and negate the trophies?
So right now they're just running whatever that
the
assault. They're running the assault pack, but they're not allowed to use it. And
yes,
so
but that seems stupid.
Yeah, but not, everything else is not competitive. That's the only way to do it.
I mean, that's why I feel like there's just the inherent
the
problem.
prob-
You're literally just going to give people an equipment that you should let them, at least with
It's
the
just
assault
useless.
pack, let them use it to get more
Right.
ammo at least.
Agreed. And and this year it would be even worse because last year either there were a ton of trophies or there were no trophies because of dead silence. This year, if the only one that's not only field upgrade that's not banned is trophies, every player is gonna have tons of trophies.
Yeah.
And so right now in a situation it would just be absolutely terrible. In a league play setting. So I'm hoping that can get sorted out before league play comes out, whenever that is. Hopefully mid-January.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it if they utilize the jammers, because then at least the jammers, because you can put them down, it destroys the trophies that are there or negates them. So that would be kind of cool to see those being
The
utilized.
jammers are so annoying.
Yeah.
Then also it's it's
you
also
could be
a
really
counter
tactical
UAV.
with it.
I feel like the only way you can fix this is if each operator either only had a smoke or a trophy.
Yeah. Trophies need to be an equipment.
Yeah.
Why aren't they? It's so dumb.
It is very strange.
Because then it would be easy. You had you have 2 people running trophies, 1 person running smoke, 2 people running stuns. Oh no, we're not playing fives anymore. I forgot.
Yeah.
In respawn, you have 1 person running a smoke, 2 people running trophies, 1 person running a stun.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And all right, I'm in. That would be fine.
I know. It is very weird this move for the trophies to be a field upgrade.
It's so
it
annoying,
makes no
dude.
sense.
It's so annoying. I hate it. But yeah, that's a big problem. That's something to keep an eye out for as we move forward, how that could play out. I'm really hoping Treyarch and the players can figure out a way to make that work, or else us middling people are just gonna get absolutely hate ourselves, or just gonna absolutely hate our lives in a ranked play when the rule set's nothing like what the pros are playing. So that's something to keep looking out for.
Yeah,
So
that'd be annoying.
Let's talk the challenger scene a little bit here. Basically, we have a few updates to get into with certain players when it comes to some news nowadays. So basically, what we've heard now is one thing we know is that Saints and Classic are teaming, so we know that. That's the thing. That's cool. I'm in on that. I mean, that's kind of they're a classic duo out there. Things you'd love to see.
Yeah. Sorry, are you still talking about Saints and Classic by chance? I saw on the Reddit that Classic has won 3 majors in the last 3 CODs.
I mean, yeah, he's been doing work.
It's crazy to think that though.
Yeah.
And then he's just left in the dust.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think Bance and Classic should have traded.
I honestly can agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Bance.
Didn't mean to interrupt you there.
I'm not. It's totally fine. Yeah. In other Challengers Rostermania news, we got Parasite's team. Decimate Blast. Decimate Blast and Neptune. And they're looking for an org.
And
very
Parasite.
exciting.
Yeah.
Did you see Decimate's tweet though?
Which one?
About his girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
no.
I saw that.
Oh no.
He told his girlfriend to block Parasite.
He's so good, dude.
so
good.
sad. Oh my god.
That's just funny.
I know.
That's just straight up funny. Yeah, watch out. Watch out. Yo, Neptune. Yo, boys, watch out.
And then Parasite just replies with a question mark.
So good. I love it.
I think the Neptune pickup is interesting because
dude.
Oh, it's really interesting.
Yeah, Sam, you tell us. You follow Halo.
He again,
here goes Parasite.
These Halo guys that are coming over are ones that are the young guys and are very mechanically skilled. There's some Halo guys that I do not think would make the transition at all.
Yeah.
These guys like Neptune, and then of course Mentals, Gears, but like I it's the same
The console
concept.
guys.
Yeah. So like I'm very excited for Neptune. Again, like he's one of those guys where it's like, yeah, he is risky, but like
If you're a Parasite, you're like
if you're Parasite, like you could utilize him and like mold him into this amazing person. So I
Right.
think this is a good pickup for Parasite.
it'll be interesting to see because again, like with the whole idea of the Elite series and like that amateur teams are actually going to have to stick together this year when you qualify for those. So the interesting idea is if this team works, they could stick together for quite a while, and then Parasite can work with like really you know, developing Neptune's play inside COD. So it's really interesting. But also the team could fall apart after 2 weeks, and then that's kind of how it goes with the amateur scene.
I mean, I have a good feeling about this team because Decimate and Blast have like sort of already established themselves in the pro scene as well.
Oh, for sure.
So like
very much.
They were they literally were just on a team, you know. So it's like if they get and they weren't even like terrible for their teams. Like they have times when they were like
been
really good players
in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, like really good. So then now Parasite's with them. Now with the Halo Pro Neptune, like this is like looks like what
really
we could see a
interesting
Paris
team.
Legion looking like, to be honest. Like
100%. 100%.
Seriously, like
this team will be right. This team should be right up there with the best amateur teams.
I think so
for sure.
And some of the pro teams, I think. I bet they could beat some pro teams. They look really good.
I'm sure they'll end up scrimming a handful of the pro teams in the next few weeks.
I think so too.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So yeah, keep your eye on that one because I'm sure Neptune's gonna want to get as much reps in as possible, probably against the pros, and you know the pros are very willing to play against Parasite, Blast, and Decimate. So I'm sure that'll happen. So
do you think Neptune's gonna be? He's not gonna be at that scouting series, is he? That's only by pro points.
Well, yeah. So yeah, probably not. No.
Dang.
Yeah.
But yeah. Good transition. We were about to talk about the scouting series. So again, December 15th to 18th, we got more information on this. The CDL coaches will draft teams from a pool of invited players. So we're for sure having the draft. And then it's going to be 64 players from NA, 64 players from EU, the 0 from the APAC, of course. And and invitations are based off pro points during the 2020 season. So again, kind of what you expect. But I mean, we talked about this before, but I'm honestly getting more interested, but some people seem to be less interested in it. But I legitimately feel like I'm pretty excited for this.
Yeah, I'm
hyped.
I'm like just excited to see like how what happens, like how it turns out. Like,
yeah,
I know like you can have your doubts and stuff, but this could be potentially just fun. A, first of all, then B, who knows what you'll see and who you'll find, and maybe someone will be able to grab a sub spot, right? I mean, it's kind of what the.
Well, I think it's interesting.
The point is,
I think it's interesting that the coaches are the one drafting the teams. So the players that get drafted onto these like 4-man teams, those are the people that like coaches in the pro scene are looking at. So like these could be your next year people.
For sure.
So
for sure.
like it's very like I like seeing which coaches pick who.
Yeah, and they did clarify, like officially, which we kind of already assumed, that it is a daily draft. So in the few days event, every day will be a different draft. So that was what kind of like what Parasite was talking about on that podcast with I Hold Shift, or that conversation with him was about like he's gonna be interested to see if they actually if coaches are taking the same players over and over and over, or if they're really trying to try out different combinations of players and things. So,
but then even here too, it says 48 players per region per day. So there might be some players that might not even get to play.
Right. So there is going to be some inherent like forcing of new teams, because I think you probably every other day get a player, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be an interesting idea as well. So I mean, it's going to be glorified 8s probably. Yeah. But I'm in on some glorified 8s. So
it'll be cool.
It's fun to see like people teaming together who don't team together, and we're gonna see like you're gonna probably see some pros in there too who like aren't
for sure
picked up. Like it's just gonna be like watching them and see how good they are against these AM. It's just really it's fun things to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we're gonna see every single pro who didn't make a roster playing in that one. So I mean, I would imagine the first round's just gonna be littered with like the pro ex pros probably. The first 2 rounds probably, and then after that it'll be really interesting to see how it ends up playing out. So similarly, other teams that were announced for the amateur scene, another high profile team, Triumph, announced their roster. This was of course Triumph was who won Challengers Champs last year. They have a pretty stacked roster, man. They got Royalty, Standy, Fellow, and General as that roster.
Good pickup.
So technically General's being loaned out to Triumph for the year, but he's technically also still a substitute for the Hunts, or sorry,
Whoa.
Whoa, dude.
Optic Gaming.
Jeez.
Or Chicago Optic. Optic Chicago.
I have an issue with this a little bit. Like, General's a great guy, and like he's an ex-pro, but like, look how many of these other pros were just taken out of the league. Like, you have players like, I don't know, like Slacked and Asim and like all these other types of players that like, even like Wuskins, and then now there's Jerd's out there now, NA. I feel like there's players that you could have picked up who were just in the pro scene and like have more of a reputable name than maybe General.
Maybe he's got something to prove, though. You know.
True.
I like General, and maybe he'll do great. But like, there was just it just seems like a weird pickup when you could have got somebody with more credibility, I guess you could say.
Yeah. You kind of wonder though. So I'm starting to wonder with these things, like where like you're saying, where why do they pick up these pros that are like seemingly are better pickups? I'm kind of wondering if these pros that are like stuck in limbo are not willing to admit defeat by going into challengers yet. You know what I mean? Like
It does kind of feel like that.
You kind of
They're
wonder,
holding out.
You kind of wonder if fellows like offered Slacked, offered these guys like, hey, let's play with us.
At the same time, I think the other factor is that they think they have a pretty good chance at getting for sure substitute spots signed by teams, and so like they're not willing to commit to like an amateur roster yet.
Yeah,
because they want to hopefully get a full. Yeah. I mean, the salary is what is the most important thing. I have anything for those guys. So
yeah.
So then General's like, I'm not. You know, I'm for sure a sub. Let me play with you guys.
So he's willing to commit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that Fellow, like, you know, was willing to commit that early as well. I mean, they kind of go back because, like, Fellow and Royalty and General teamed in IW, and Fellow and General teamed back in AW. So they kind of have some of that connections from back in the day on E6. So they've been around together. So that's pretty cool. I think they'll be a pretty fun team to watch as well. And then, like you said, Jerd announced he is still a free agent and he's going to be competing in NA Challengers more than likely. So pretty cool that he's competing in NA, which I think is a good call for him.
Hopefully he gets a good team though, because like if he's committed to NA, it's like he's gonna have to find a good team.
True.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you'd think he would. I mean, he's one of the legends in the COD team for the past, like, 5 years. Like, he's going to find a pretty good team, I'd imagine. But, yeah, so there's definitely a lot more news with other teams that are kind of solidifying. We'll talk more about that in the upcoming few weeks as we lead into the Challengers series here in the next 2 weeks. Or in the Scouting series. So let's talk a little bit about do you want to talk about Rostermania first or, like, kind of some Cold War stuff? Let's talk Rostermania first. Let's talk Rostermania stuff.
There's some things to say here. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk Rostermania stuff first. Basically, quote unquote Rostermania. So obviously, LA Thieves. We talked about this last week a little bit, but LA Thieves has been scrimming with good old Temp. Good old Temp.
Yes.
Which again, we've been talking about for a while now. This seems like it's going to happen. It's almost inevitable at this point that Temp is going to sign with them. They were baiting a little bit with like their like muted audio like conversation they had, like, oh, you guys muted? Like, oh, it's gonna suck trying to find a teammate, after blah blah blah. It's been like a reunion. And like, I don't know. I mean, all signs point to them with Temp. I think we all agree that's it makes sense.
Yeah.
It gets us excited. It's a good team. Yes. I don't think too much to say there until they actually announce something, but
it's gonna be Temp. There's no way
it's going to be Temp. And they are going to be a competitive team. They've looked pretty good already in the scrims they've been playing. I mean, even though it's really early. Yeah. By the way, anybody who's taking really anything legitimate from this, like there's some fans out there that like saw Opti get smoked by FaZe yesterday, and we're like, it's over. It's over. Like, dude, all right, let's calm down. All hope is lost. No, let's calm down. But I think the most interesting news right now, at least, has been coming from New York. When it came to like Hydra and what's happening with that situation, Clay made like an overlay to spam on his stream when people asked about Hydra, and it's just in yellow letters, Hydra is stuck in Paris. And so Hydra is stuck in Paris, guys. And currently it said he's having like visa /COVID issues because of like the strictness of coming to the United States right now. He's having some issues with that, so it's not known, like we talked about last week, if he will be here at the start of the league. So for now, because they can't really scrim online with that connection, we were talking about who's it going to be? Who's going to be the guy that they're going to potentially play with for now? And it looks like a Sim's that guy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And they've looked decent. So
they have.
thoughts on a Sim potentially coming on as a sub for New York?
I think from what I've seen, I watched a lot of their scrims. I think he meshes really well. He's a pretty like selfless player.
Yeah, he is.
So I think he's able to fit into almost any mold you need him to be, and he's a pretty good player himself. So I think he's a great sub to have. I wouldn't be super stoked if he was like their starter, because I really want to see what Hydra does, and I feel like they
Right.
kind of need
Mhm.
Hydra to be kind of some more star power for that team.
Man.
They need Hydra.
See, I don't know.
I kind of agree.
I think the upside for a Sim has not been seen yet.
Really.
It's
I'm interested.
possible. Like he
I'm
does
interested
okay.
to see what Sim playing with Zuma and Clay for an extended period of time could do for him and how he plays.
Mhm.
I think last year something was missing with how he played, where like certain times he would just start dominating, and then certain games he would get destroyed. And I really think it came out like positioning and his patience in gunfights just wasn't always there. There was some
Mhm.
pacing issues with how he played. I
But
think
with
playing with
Zuma
Clay
and
and with
Clay-
Zuma, they could potentially iron out some of that. And I think the
Mhm.
Sim could end up being a really, really good player.
I agree.
I mean-
Like that's why I think he's a great sub. But when
Yeah.
you have like that young god that is possibly Hydra, I'm always
Right.
gonna be like, well, let's get Hydra here, try him out. If he sucks, bring Asim back, because Asim
Mhm.
I think is gonna make a solid team. I don't know if he's gonna be kind of like top 3 type of team. Hydra is kind of what
Unless you just
need.
have Mack go completely off too.
Well,
like,
yeah, that's very possible.
yeah, like Mack could carry that star power, right?
maybe.
They just have like Asim doing his dirty job. I don't know why I keep saying the word dirty.
Sounded like Shotzzy out
I
here.
know.
Do we think Mack is Mack just a one-hit wonder, or is he? You think he's gonna be able to carry over this year?
I do believe in Mack.
Bro, what was up with Shotzzy this week, dude? He couldn't talk. At one point, he was talking about penetration. Another point,
Oh,
it got
okay.
even worse than that.
Oh gosh.
Sorry, I got derailed here.
Sorry. We're good. We're good. Yeah.
Mac?
I think Matt can. I truly do.
I agree.
I think but again though, like that potential with Hydra is there, and it's like if we don't get to see that would be so sad.
Yeah,
If like he's just stuck, you know?
he's like our next
Yeah.
like Shotzzy. He's
But,
kind
like,
of what
there was-
he's supposed to be is the next
People were
Shotzzy, next
hyped about
Simp sort of
Sim.
thing.
People were hyped about him, like going into last year,
Mhm.
you know, and I think leveling up with the talent around him now,
Mhm.
I think there's still unlocked potential with this.
Yeah,
Sim.
it
legitimately
could have just
could
been
be
a
really
role
good.
thing. It could have just been a role thing.
I mean, like,
with
and like the
Sim.
players that were there, like they were good players, but like
Mhm.
they weren't on the caliber of Zuma and Clay, and I mean even Mack.
Mhm.
From what we've seen so far, at least.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I'm excited about that with a Sim
definitely.
and how that could potentially play out. So, I didn't know where to put this if it was just in ROSTERMANIA or in the scrap or in the Challengers stuff, but I was gonna talk about it in Challengers, but I decided to talk about it here. Wuskin talked about how he is basically chalked,
Man.
and he also said that you guys are gonna basically lose it when you hear the news and when it's announced. He said you lot are gonna be smacked.
God,
You lot are gonna be gobsnapped when the news drops. So bad. But he said, I can't believe I'm missing out on the year, which is just sad, man.
So
it's sad. But
depressing.
what?
What
What is this?
Mm.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. That's sad. And then Skrapz basically said, he was like, yo, Skrapz is in a good spot. He said that the only thing that could really stop him from getting a league spot is visa issues. I mean, is this when we do the drop already? Are we playing?
I think
what?
we're playing it.
Wrong
Wrong
with
do it.
Paris.
Welcome to What's Wrong with Paris.
I mean,
I mean,
this
really.
might actually be what's right with Paris this time
Yeah.
around, because it sounds
Kinda.
like, is that where Skrapz is going? Is that the play there?
I mean,
it
at
would only
this
make
point.
sense.
It's the
But then
only
how do you
option.
not get Wuskin too?
That's
Dude,
the thing. It's like,
mind
who
blowing.
else are they picking up with Skrapz if it's not Wuskin?
Dens, maybe they wanted to keep Dens, and Dens and Skrapz just can't play on the same team together because they're both just main
Is-
ARs.
Dens and
Has
Wuskin.
Kismet announced the
Yeah,
Challengers team?
Kismet was playing with God RX.
Duh. Sorry. Yep.
That's the thing. Like, but here you have Skrapz, so I'm guessing they're probably gonna go for like more of a European
Shocks
type of
you use
vibe.
Shocks, Skrapz, Dens, and who would the fourth be?
Jerd.
No,
But
because Jerd's already
still-
playing.
Still free agent.
Yeah.
Nah, Kismet picked up. Oh,
It'd
Zed.
be tough. It could be Zed. They could keep Zed.
Hmm.
They keep 3 of their 4.
But that's the thing that's weird is like you guys like kind of flopped really hard. You released everybody. Just go grab Skrapz and Wuskins, for that same price. Like I don't get it. But
No, it makes no sense.
unless
But,
like, they really believe in like Dens or something somehow. Like Dens is good, but I mean Wuskins is Wuskin.
Right.
You know what you're getting.
I agreed. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
And-
gobsmacked.
yeah. But yeah, CDL Intel said that he had thought that Classic had a chance to be on the Paris Legion, but then it didn't work out for whatever reason. So I don't know. He says he doesn't know really what happened there.
Yeah.
What is Paris Legion doing? What's wrong with them? Who knows?
They
But,
haven't
we'll
tweeted
figure
in
out
over
one of these
30
days.
days.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I mean, that is insane. I'm still a little sketched out by the fact that they haven't tweeted in that long.
Mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what makes no sense to me. I mean, like we were talking about like when should we do our power ranking, like our first power rankings of Cold War. Like we can't do it till Paris announces a team.
Mhm.
Like we haven't even seen Paris play. We're like, man, this is so annoying because we want to do a power rankings, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's like how do we do power rankings at this point? If Paris hasn't released a team, it's the worst. But yeah. So again, we will continue to keep you guys updated on the Paris situation. Skrapz is looking like that might actually happen, which is pretty exciting, but we don't really know what else is going on there.
Yeah,
So
that is cool.
yeah, Cold War. We've seen some pretty good things with the updates that we've seen from Cold War. Obviously, the big news this week was the nerf to the MP5 and the nerf to the FFAR, which last week was kind of looking like it was going to be the hard set meta for a while, and then immediately, out comes Treyarch with the nerf hammer,
the ban hammer, or nerf hammer.
just
Boom.
destroying the FFAR, ruining it, and then nerfing the MP5 down to being worse than the AK-40s or the AK-74U. So right now, it's looking like a AK-47 Krig AR debate, and then the AK-74U looking like it's going to be the SMG for now.
I have seen some MP5s being used though still.
Some MP5s are still being used.
But yeah, it seems like the 74U is going to be
the gun.
I think when everyone starts using the right setups, the 74U is nasty. Do you know that the bullet? I found this out from Drifter's video today. Shout out Drifter, no free shoutouts.
no for sure.
But Drifter was talking about how the bullet velocity, the base bullet velocity on the AK-74U is at 500 millisecond, whatever, meters per second, whatever.
Something.
And like the MP5s is 250. So even when you use the muzzle velocity 100% attachment, it only equals the base velocity of the AK-74U.
Wow.
And like that's why like without the muzzle attachment on the MP5, your hit detection feels so bad because the bullets just aren't fast.
Interesting.
So that's like a huge advantage for the AK-74U because like it has if you have the 100% attachment for the muzzle velocity on there, it's 4 times the base speed of the MP5, which is crazy.
And so that's just basically like how much you're gonna hit bullets. Like
It's like, how fast your bullet gets from point A to point B. So it's like at long range, you're actually going to hit it. Like when you shoot, it's going to feel like it's direct hit detection. Yeah. So it's just really interesting. I just thought that was really interesting.
That is, yeah.
That like it's that big of a difference between weapons, but like apparently, supposedly, it's based off like realistic weapon stats.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Huh.
It's pretty wild.
That is wild.
But yeah, so I think that 74U is going to be the play for at least a little while. But they've been really fast with these nerfs and patches overall. So thoughts on Cold War now and the changes that you've seen? Bomb spots, hardpoint spawns, other things you want to see. Where you at with this? Rex?
I mean, I'm always glad that they're just editing things and working on things. They said they patched the hardpoint spawns. I still feel like the hardpoint spawns, they're good, better than Modern Warfare. Like they're more predictable than that. But there are some weird things I think happening when like you feel like you've like anchored enough, then all of a sudden they'll still spawn behind you.
Yeah.
But like it's like
especially
it's just kind of like weird.
On Moscow, the spawns were wild. I mean, not great, and a lot of the pros said that. So that was good to see that they They said they fixed like how close you spawn.
They attempted to fix it. I still
hard
think
point
it's
hills.
a little weird, but
Yeah, I mean that's very possible. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, since they patched it yesterday night. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I am very excited to see that how quick they've been, and like Clay, I can't remember, but someone was asking like, "Yo, are they gonna fix this?" And Clay was like, "Yeah, they're working on it right now." So that direct line of communication is definitely there with the pros,
Yeah, that's huge.
which is really exciting. And so,
Mhm.
I'm excited to see that. Sam, thoughts on Cold War?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, in our group chat, like, just even that little change for spawns is like, wow, we never got spawn changes ever
In the
Modern
whole
Warfare.
year on Modern
Modern Warfare
Warfare,
had the
yeah.
worst spawns ever, and they didn't make a change.
Like,
It's
the fact that,
Yeah.
that they're willing to admit, hey, we can change this.
We can make it better.
Maybe we were wrong, and it's so promising. It's so promising for
Yeah.
just the game to be better over the years. So I'm happy with it. Like you, I haven't like had a chance to really play a competitive hardpoint yet. So like I don't know. I can't tell you
Yeah.
if the changes were huge or not. But
It's interesting because it's like in Modern Warfare, you know, they had the full development cycle. They definitely launched with like a bigger game on launch than Cold War did. But like, you wonder if it's like, I mean, obviously Treyarch's just a better studio overall for this type of stuff, but like maybe because they had like a short development cycle, they feel like it's just beneficial for them to listen to the pros and just like, this is still part of their like testing process because they had such a short cycle to develop the game.
Yeah. And
so like they launched with the idea in mind that, okay, we need to listen to the community and be very proactive because we did not have enough play tests for this game. And maybe since they knew that, they're actually being even more reactive than normal.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting, I don't know. I mean, that's just,
could be.
maybe it almost like is nice that it launched with less development time in that way because it's like they are more willing to listen to us.
Though I feel like
Honestly,
Treyarch
kinda fun.
is usually always pretty quick with the patches. Like when they first release a game, it runs about a week or so, and then they added in a pretty big patch afterward. They're really good about patches. And if we know Treyarch, they kind of nerf guns to the ground after that gun has had time to shine. They'll nerf it to the ground, and then another gun will be the new meta, right? Like we saw.
Yeah,
in Black
I mean,
Ops
literally
3.
up 100% agree with you. Up until Black Ops 4, where like basically the whole year, the SOG, the Maddox, and the ICR were the guns, even up to, like from the beginning of the year. But like in Black Ops 3, they nerfed the crap out of multiple guns. So I do agree with you there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Vesper for sure. Wow.
Oh, the Vesper.
The Vesper had a time to shine at one point.
It did.
And then it was garbage.
What was
So
the other
bad.
gun besides the M8 that people were using in that game?
The
maybe
Man of War?
Man of War too.
The Shiva.
HVK maybe.
Oh,
A
yeah,
little bit.
Yeah, HVK had a moment in time there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest issue right now, which again, I mean, 20 is better than 12, but the hertz rate right now on the custom servers is currently 20. Again, we're all begging and praying for 60 hertz for custom servers. I mean, ideally, you want them at 120 now because we're going to be able to play on 120 FPS and higher on PC. So it's like, really, we should have 120 hertz servers like what CSGO can have. We'll suffer with 60 like what PUBG is right now, but 20 is not cutting it for competitive Call of Duty. Again, last year, once we got the dedicated servers, when like, League came around, it was fine. And like then the GB servers were dedicated. So that's good. But we do need GB integration still and that type of stuff, which I'm sure will come eventually. But like, it's just kind of unfortunate that like, at the launch, we're still having to deal with like 20 hertz and worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any thoughts there?
Yeah. I just don't know what it takes. I don't know how easy it is, whatever it is for the servers to, to match your 6120. I don't know. So
yeah,
it
it's
does
always
suck,
been an
though.
issue.
Yeah, it just sucks though that like that is a disadvantage.
It's so
to play
annoying.
at 20 hertz. So I don't know. I don't know what it would take to get that much. So
it's like, it's just ironic because it's like when playing on 120 refresh, like when playing on a 20 hertz, like when you have 120 frames per second, it's like playing on 20 hertz basically negates like probably 60% of the effects of having that good frames.
It is strange.
So it's just really weird. I mean, on the same tone, we already kind of hit on it, but like the score streak system, they added in the ability in custom games to change the price of score streaks, but not to change how you earn them. Which is like, why did you? What's even the point at that point? So that made no sense because you can like adjust. You can literally manually adjust the cost of each and every single score streak now, which is cool, I guess. But like, it doesn't help the competitive scene in any way at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't know. It makes no
they
sense.
They should add a tab, reset on death, yes or no.
Yeah, reset on death, yes or no,
Mm-hmm.
or like, and then we can set the tallies ourselves. I guess I don't
Maybe.
know.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what they're worried about, because it would have to be more than just reset on death. Because then, if they reset on death, you'd have to have a whole new scoring system for them all.
Well,
So
you
maybe
can do
that's
that
why.
now already. You already can
Right,
change
so
the scoring system.
So maybe
Just
that's
add
why
reset
they
on
added
death.
it in.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Could be.
But then you'd have to have like a CDL setting, because adjusting that every game would be a pain.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully we're working towards that, and in their heads they know when the CDL is going to launch, I'd imagine. So they'll probably have like a target date set, like, all right, by January 18th, we need to have this, and this in the game. We need to have league play in the game. We need to have score streaks resetting on death in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But really, you need to have those in earlier so that the pro teams can actually practice with them. Blah 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 blah. So a whole lot going on there.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can see that type of stuff in the game. Last news piece: Shotzzy won Console Rookie of the Year.
Props.
Props to Shotzzy.
Deserved.
Good stuff. Golf clap. Which is very cool. The esports awards were whatever. They're fine.
Yeah.
Woo.
I don't know. Do you guys watch them at all?
I didn't this time.
No, I just wait for Twitter to tell me what happened.
Yeah. I mean, they had I saw the viewership. It was decent. It was 40,000 people watching, but
That's cool.
for an online event, it's not too bad. But
Not bad.
yeah, overall. But we want to get into our main segment of the day, which is going to take the majority of our podcast, which is the spicy, the hot meat, the hottest of meatballs.
The hottest to meet.
What?
The hottest to meet.
Oh, yeah, that is what it is. But we're going to get into our, slightly too early, maybe a wee bit too early.
Just a little
top, basically, I mean, really though, it's not too early, because we're just ranking who in Cold War the top 5 flex. We're not predicting. We're if we were making a team, right? And I hope this is how we all approach this. Maybe we weren't very clear, but if we're making a team right now, who are the top flex, the top AR, the top sub? This intro has been way too long. So
we have to over-explain.
we have to over-explain it, but let's get right into this. Let's hit the drop and make it happen. Let's go. Alrighty, so baby, how do you want to start with this? We want to start with which position should we start? We're going to go flexes, ARs, and subs. We're not going to go in Modern Warfare we had entry and support and route man.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it simple when it comes to the weapon positions.
Yeah.
Sub, AR, flex. We're going to rank by what weapon you use.
Let's start with the AR.
And go that way around. Ooh, we're going to start with
AR is
AR.
probably the easiest.
Okay,
right?
so none of us have seen each other's rankings yet.
No.
And so how we're going to do this is I'll show you guys right here. We're going to go, hey everyone, Josh from the future here real quick. So what you're going to notice later in the episode is that somehow it was glitching, so it wasn't showing the updated list of the players we were writing down. So I'm just going to fix it, and I'm going to add it in maybe 2 spots where it's updated, give you at least a little bit of a chance, and then a little bit later we end up fixing it in I don't know, 10, 15, I'm not sure, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Anyway, little wanted to cut in here real quick to let you guys know so it wasn't so confusing. So overall, I just hope you guys enjoy the rest of the podcast. Let's get back into it. By flex, AR, and sub, and then we're all going to rank our top 5, and then we're going to try to do a consensus, and we're going to go position by position and work our way through. Unless you want to go 5-5-1, but I feel like it'd be a little bit easier just to go by position and stick with that. So
yes.
Let's just do that. So with that said, Rex, do you want to take us away with your first AR, with your 5th best AR? We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up.
Oh, we're starting 5th best?
5th best, yes. We're starting from 5 to 1.
All right, so near the bottom of the AR list is where it gets more tricky for me.
It's tough, man.
I did put Clayster as my 5th best AR.
I thought he might slide in there for Rex.
I mean, there's people like Slasher, and you could say Crim6, who I feel like, I mean, I don't want to give away what the rest of my list is, but those people were the kind of people I was debating for that.
Yeah, right
5th
on the
slot.
fringe. Yeah.
And I ended up taking Clayster, I think, in both those. So, Clayster.
Interesting. Okay. Sam?
Actually had a little change up, but 5th for me is going to be Crim.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, I put Clay at number. Put him at.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But if you want to know the battles between Slasher and Crim.
Interesting.
I mean, there is a battle between them, but I still feel like Clayster is just a better gamer than they are, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, again, so
Clayster
I'm
just
really
has a
taking.
smarter mind.
I mean, it's a tough conversation to have. I think at 5, I might have the most publicly controversial one because I think people might have him a little bit higher. But I have Skyz at number 5.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So
I debated with
That is
that
controversial.
too.
yeah. So that starts us off on like an interesting foot where I know we're gonna have some.
Good luck in the comments, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna have some interesting ones here, boys. Again, this is just it's a for fun. We're having a fun time out here, okay, guys? It's a fun time. But yeah. So Rex, kick us off with your number 4.
My number 4, I'm going with Skyz for this one.
Okay.
Again, I did debate whether I put Clay and Skyz because I didn't. Even between them, I wasn't sure. I decided to go with Skyz.
Yeah.
Skyz easily, I think, could be 5th for me, and Clayster goes up one more. But Skyz at 4th, I think, is pretty safe for me, and I'm okay with that.
It's tough conversation because, like, I guess we can talk more about our honorable mentions when we get through all 5, probably. And some of our honorable mentions are going to be other people's, like, 3 through 5, maybe. So that is interesting that Skyz is 4 for you. Sam, who do you got at 4?
Me and Rex thought alike. I had Skyz.
Really?
I did. I had
wow.
Skyz at 4.
I have a feeling me and Sam are going to have the same list after this.
We might.
None of us had him in the top 3?
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually surprising.
Here's the thing, Skyz, like, I don't know. He was good, Black Ops 4. He was good in Modern Warfare, but I don't know. He just...
That is the last 2 games.
In my mind, he just hasn't proven himself. Like, I think of Skyz, I'm like, you know what? He needs to prove it. Like, I just can't take what he's giving me so far.
That's how I feel. Like I feel like I'm doing him dirty because I have him at 5. But like you have so many veteran guys that have been around the scene for so long at this point that it's like,
and they're pretty cemented as like these are your guys.
They're cemented as really good players, and it's like, man, like do I want Formal or Skyz? And it's like, I mean, how do I put Skyz over Formal?
Yeah.
So it's like that's what's tough. But speaking of Formal, I do have Formal at number 4 for me.
Blasphemy.
I know I'm sitting on a controversial foot here in the public eye with a lot of people out there. I'm sorry, folks. This is my bad. Again, I think once we get through our 5, we can kind of like talk about some of the more like the tough conversations. What were the toughest decisions for you guys? And then we can, so like, once we review all 5, we can have kind of a big overall conversation about certain things. So, Rex, let's see your number 3.
So my number 3, I have Formal for my number 3.
Okay.
But again, I just like it just depends on the day they're having, honestly, with like these 3 players, Clayster, Skyz, Formal. Like any day, Clayster could be above Formal, Clayster could be above Skyz, Skyz could be above Formal, Skyz could be like any someday, like they're just gonna be better for some reason. But my next 2, I don't know, I feel pretty confident.
Yeah. Okay, Sam. Formal, right?
Arceus.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Arceus.
It's bleeding.
The reason I have Arceus as 3 is I know Arceus is really good. However, he just came off flexing, so he's gonna be
okay.
It's gonna be different.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Yeah. He did use AR most of the time, but you know.
Yeah, but to be the main is different.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not good, but there's a reason he's at 3 because I've got so.
All right. Yeah. No, it's all good. I totally understand that. I mean, again, we'll talk more in a second. Okay, so at my 3 spot, this was really, really tough. And I spent like 5 minutes just staring at this, trying to decide where I wanted to put this guy. And I had him at 5 at first, and then I had him bunny hop Skyz and Formal.
Oh, wow.
Here at the end. Though he didn't do much bunny hopping last year in Modern Warfare. I will take Slasher at number 3.
Interesting.
I mean, again, I had him at 5 originally, and then I was just like, oh man, if I was building a team, I think I'd want Slasher there. And so that's where I'm at. Again, like I keep saying, we're going to talk more about this in a second. Rex, who do you got at number 2?
All right, so I am giving, I think, a little bit benefit of the doubt here, but I am going with Arceus for number 2. We haven't seen him play like a true like main AR yet. Or I guess in Modern Warfare in this game.
Yeah, in Black Ops Cold War, but we saw it for a one tournament in Black Ops in Modern Warfare when #flexing Formal sucked.
So like I am putting RCDs there just because RCDs is one of those people who's like he's just a good gamer. Like he just is able to win his gunfights for some reason. And I have full confidence in him running an AR. I feel like it suits him even more so. So I have RCDs at number 2, and I feel pretty confident about that one.
Okay. All right.
I shouldn't,
Sam?
but I do.
Wonder who's here.
Octane.
Oh, he did it.
Dude,
He did
no,
it.
you didn't, Sam.
Oh my goodness.
I have so much faith.
Sam, what? I mean,
You're going
he's
full Homer.
good, but like that good?
I have faith.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk more about this in a second. I mean, I did debate here. For me, it was really close between RCDs and your number 2 here, Octane. But I did end up going with RCDs at 2, which means that me and Rex both have Octane at 1. I'd imagine, right, Rex?
Of course.
Unless you're pulling quite the hoax here.
No, you
And
can't
Sam?
deny how good Octane is and
I mean,
has been for the longest time.
Accuracy, number 1.
No.
My main.
Horrible.
My main.
So, guys, there's the look at the current top 5 ARs for all 3 of us. For you audio listeners, I've got Skyz at 5, Formal at 4, Slasher at 3, RCs at 2, Octane at 1. Rex, read yours off.
I have 5 Clayster, 4 Skyz, 3 Formal, 2 RCDs, 1 Octane.
And Sam.
Crim 5. Skyz 4. 3 RCDs, 2 Octane, and 1 Formal, baby. Let's go.
You're insane.
You got to make the sound effect with it. All right. So, I mean, what's your biggest surprise out of any of our lists for me? I mean, Rex, Clayster at 5 is interesting.
I think
Above
Slasher at 3 is interesting.
I can understand that people would see that as controversial.
Slasher at 3 is kind of weird to me.
A few guys
here's
that
the
were
thing,
left.
give credit, but like Slasher's also had like these other teammates behind him. And I'm not saying he's a bad AR, but if Clayster and Slasher get in like a 1v1 gunfight, I just see Clayster coming out ahead.
Really?
I do.
No, man.
I see him coming out ahead with
I have a lot
Krem
of faith
too.
in Slasher as a player.
Well,
I mean, we saw
see,
Slasher clutched up multiple times last year as like this absolute beast unit.
It's interesting too because I think Crim playing the main is way different than like what we saw last year too. Though
For sure.
you know
for
what
sure.
I mean.
I mean, we haven't seen Crim in the main. What? I mean, in Black Ops 4 he was a flex,
Mm-hmm.
and so I mean we haven't seen it since when? A long time.
Yeah.
I mean, because Formal was the main AR before that. So
Yeah.
Crim
Clayster
as a
in
main
Modern
AR.
Warfare.
So having Crim in your top 5 is pretty gutsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he might be more at home here as a main, and that did boost me up to put him there. Again, like Clayster may end up being better than him, and you might be right, Rex, here, but I don't know. Like there's something about Crim playing the main excites me.
Yeah.
For this Dallas team.
I mean, yeah.
So that's why I had him at 5.
Obviously, a few guys like accuracy, methods come to mind as guys that
Methods really is underrated.
He
Honestly,
is
like,
probably
is.
underrated.
he
but
probably could be the 5th here. Honestly,
Yeah.
he could be. But
All right. I mean, yeah. I think overall, just like looking at the list, I mean,
Octane at number 1 is an obvious pick. Like that had to be obvious.
yeah.
He's
I
been
can
too
see the
good.
argument. He's been too good. I agree.
For
I mean,
so many years, in every game, they're always like Octane's the best they are. Since World War II, at least they've been saying that.
Yeah. I mean, Sam just went balls to the walls for Formal.
someone had to do something different.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. So
Formal-
overall, I think that's pretty interesting as a whole. But we want to move on. Let's do flexes next.
Let's do flexes.
Flexes next, baby. Okay, so
Damn.
yeah, flexes are tough, man, because there's so many good main subs this year. And again, it's tough because we don't know the whole meta.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough debate because like some of the main subs could end up being flexes
Yep.
depending on what this. There's a world right now where we have a 3 AR meta.
Yep.
We're not exactly sure how that could play out right now. So in theory, these guys could end up being flexes. But I think we're kind of all going to base this off of like the perception that they're main SMGs for now.
Yes.
which does leave a lot of really good players off the list in the subcategory, which we're going to talk about for sure. But let's do our flexes for now. Let's continue in the same order. Rex, take us away with your number 5 flex.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like. Yeah, I'm having trouble deciding like what is a flex
who
or
is
not.
who?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm gonna put Temp at number 5.
Okay,
If we're
yeah.
considering, I mean, I think he's a pretty like
He should be a flex.
Yeah, he's probably gonna be a flex. I think he's a very solid player. The only problem with Temp that I think he has is that he maybe could be too selfish, maybe.
Yeah,
But that's maybe the only problem, and I think that's only going to improve. So I have him at number 5.
I mean, I definitely think that a lot of players' biggest issues with Temp is that he's generally more likely to point out other people's mistakes than his own, which I think everyone is like more likely to do. But Temp does sometimes accentuate those conversations.
Very hard.
So you have to have the right personality to be a teammate with Temp. But if you are, he can be a beast, and like I think he can still definitely win. But I do agree, Temp's right there for me in the conversation. So Sam,
Fun note: Temp is 6 for me, but my number 5 is Major. Major Maniac.
Yep.
Okay, are we calling Priestahh a flex or
currently Priestahh is supposed to be a sub, but he could be a flex depending on the meta. So he was one that I had a tough time working with too. I think we're gonna count Priestahh as a sub. Do you guys feel good about that?
Yeah,
I can get away with that. Yeah,
that's what I was going in with.
Okay.
Sub.
All right. Yeah, sounds good with me. Okay, so you have Major Maniac at 5.
Yes.
Okay, that is interesting. I mean, last year you played main AR for most of the year. Obviously, they tried switching it up a little bit with Cellium and everything else.
Yeah,
we've seen Major be a beast in the past. I mean, he was really good on Gen G. So I think it's. I mean, yeah, I can see it. Yeah. He was right there for me, but he did not make. Spoiler: he did not make my top 5. I actually did have Temp at 5 as well. So Rex and I are agreeing there with Temp at 5, which is actually pretty surprising. With all the options there. So Temp at 5 for me. And like he was right on the fringe with a few of other guys. Let's see if they end up on your guys' list. So Rex, who do you have at 4?
Again, like figuring out like what's what. I mean, I guess like what are we calling Gunless? Is he a sub or is he a flex?
I think I see him as a sub, right?
I went in thinking sub because Looney flex.
I think Looney's is going to be a flex.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just feels like he's more likely to be a flex. So I think I'd rather have Priestahh. Gunless is going to be a sub for sure.
Probably Priestahh and Gunless subbing makes sense.
You look at that Rise team.
Yeah, Major and Gun, or you had a
Looney,
Tej and Gunless.
Tej and Gunless sub, Slasher, and
as the main AR. Yeah,
makes sense. So for my number 4, I will also take Major Maniac.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, wow.
Or I'll
very
take
interesting.
Maniac.
I had a tough time with my 4th one, and Temp as well with my 5th one. I basically had like 4 guys I was going between. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. And this is a tough conversation because it's right now their roles are a little murky with heading into Black Ops or heading into Cold War, especially now the Hydra's gone and like what's happening with that team. But I have Mack at 4 because he was flexing in Modern Warfare, but there's a world where he's their main sub as well, with the Hydra this year.
Yeah.
But it's kind of depending on what Zuma ends up doing and how he wants to play. Generally, Zuma's been the sub, but it's possible that Mack still runs it. So I have Mack at flex. If you guys have a problem with that, let me know.
Yeah. No, I honestly think it could go both ways at this point. Like, you could have either Zuma or Mack, and then Hydra would be the main.
And then depending on the meta, they could both flex.
Yeah. So
yeah. I mean,
I'm okay with either.
I have a feeling Zuma's gonna be flexing on that team, but again, flexing is kind of murky waters right now. So whatever.
With the meta.
Mack there, because he could definitely run into that flex role too.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep Mack at 4 then. Yeah. So Mack at 4 for me.
Yeah.
So Rex, who you got in the top 3?
Right. So this was a tough one. Like, I do want to put Mack, but I also think Mack, I don't know. I was thinking of him as more of a sub player, but there's Dashy.
Go with your gut.
Dashy's out there.
Yep.
And I want to put Dashy because he's really, really hyped. but where has he's not proven himself very much.
Oh,
like
come
last
on.
in Modern Warfare, we barely saw him.
Well, I mean, barely. We saw him for most of the year, and he was real solid in the beginning of the year. Of course, he was running.
He was okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was solid.
Could have been better
in the first half,
but he's good in Black Ops 4, and so
Great.
I am going to take him as my top 3 flex. I think it's risky to do that, but I think he'll do all right. I think he's gonna be a good flex.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. Okay. Sam, who you got 3?
I have Awakening.
Wow! Holy moly! Top 3 for Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
I think so. He had a great start when he came in.
Wowzers! Over Dashy?
Over Dashy. Yeah.
Huh?
I don't know. Again, this is 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Dashy could be playing better than Awakening at some point. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I was just looking for a brain.
Oh,
wow.
Awakening is an interesting pick.
How many wins does Dashy have?
Get it.
By the way, how many wins does Dashy have? 1.
1 real one. Awakening has 0 real ones.
Oh, real. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dallas just didn't win a real championship. Okay. Again, this is a close race.
Awakening, I nearly put him at 4.
Yeah.
I had him at 4 originally, and I'm like, I haven't seen enough, and I dropped him off my top 5.
Man, yeah, you guys are trusting these new guys, even with the Mack pick. Like, you guys are really trusting that.
No, yeah, I was
Modern
uncomfortable
Warfare
with Mack.
was not a fluke. Like,
yeah,
like
I was
for these
very uncomfortable
guys.
with Mack at 4. Like, it doesn't make me happy. I originally had Awakening at 3. Then I had Temp. I mean, I originally had Awakening at 4. Then I had Temp at 4, and then I moved Mack up to 4. And so it was a whole fiasco for me.
Jeez.
But at 3, I think you guys will be surprised. I have Dashy at 3.
oh,
Yeah. So
yeah.
we're doing pretty good over here, Rex.
Interesting.
But yeah, Dashy at 3. I did play around with that one. I had him a little bit higher originally at 2, and so things happen. So I had Dashy at 3. Rex, who do you have at 2?
All right, so it's gonna be someone from the Empire squad.
Ooh.
I think ILLeY might end up being that flex.
Yeah, I think so
have
too.
ILLeY as my flex, and I think he's gonna be the second best flex in the league. Could become the first best. I think ILLeY could end up being one of the best in the game. Like, he's really good. He brings a lot to a team. So he's my number 2 for flex. And he's going to kill it.
Sam?
I 100% agree.
Oh, my word. We're going 3 for 3, boys. I also have ILLeY here.
Which I'd imagine we all have the same one.
Number 2, which means that we all probably have the same number 1 as well. We got Cellium here at number 1.
Cellium.
I mean, I agree with you that it like, if Cellium continues what he's been doing in Modern Warfare, he's the number 1 flex.
Yeah, I think
overall,
so too.
Everything he brings on the map in all 3 game modes, he's been so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a world where ILLeY elevates himself to the top spot. There's also a world where Dashy reclaims himself as the top flex in the league if he starts playing anywhere near what he was playing in Black Ops 4.
Absolutely.
Right.
But I feel like those guys, I'm so surprised you had Awakening at 3. That was shocking, Sam. In my mind, Dashy, ILLeY, and Cellium are like the definite tier 1 like flexes in the league.
Yeah. Maybe
definitely Cellium and ILLeY. Dashy, I mean, I put him at number 3.
Yeah, you're lower on
but
Dashy.
I am not going to be, like, I could easily be convinced with Dashy putting him out of the top 5 at all. Like,
maybe Modern Warfare did have a lot of bias on my, thing, but I don't know. No, yeah, Awakening could not be a top 5.
He has Mack at 4th for flex. Like, come on.
Yeah.
All right, calm down.
Get roasted.
I mean, I like Mack, and I want NYSL to do good, but like,
I had Major Maniac on my considerations. Cammy was there. Awakening was there. Those were definitely guys who I was looking at. Kenny was there. Those are all guys I was looking at. But then I was like, Kenny's probably a sub.
I know.
Probably,
guys like Kenny and them, like, I think that's a sub.
Originally I had him at flex, but I was like, he's probably going to sub. Well, now that Temp's joining the squad, more than likely. And then I was like, all right, Temp's probably in the flex. And then I moved Kenny over. And there was a handful of guys I was looking at the flex. And you have some of the Europeans you get to consider there too. And
the flex is just a difficult role to figure out. Because like then there's like the whole gunless thing. If gunless is a flex, it's like maybe he makes it into somebody's top 5, right?
Oh,
But
for sure.
We don't know.
He would
like,
have definitely been in
subbing.
my top 5 as a flex. Yeah. Oh, for sure. So, no, yeah, that makes it really, really tough. And if Priest is there too, you could debate Priestahh depending on what their roles end up being on that team.
Yeah.
Again, I do think Priest is going to be a sub. But, all right. Let's go into our subs here, and then we can start debating consensus. That's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough debate, I think. Overall, Rex, fire away with your number 5.
Okay, so my number 5 spot is going to be Envoy.
Wow.
I know,
Wow.
I know you're surprised by that.
Wow.
But what's really gonna be surprising for you guys, I think, is that I was debating between him and TJ.
Wow. Wait, who?
Him and TJ.
What?
TJ Haley
Oh
for number 5.
Look.
Okay, I'm really zooming in for a brain. I'm really looking. Oh, yeah, there it is.
I bet you guys, you have Envoy at number 1, Josh. I'm gonna predict that one now.
I'm not spoiling anything here. I'm just saying.
Envoy's good,
Whoa,
but I think there's better subs out there.
You just listed Tej and Envoy in the same sentence?
Dude, you have not seen I mean, I'm going off really recency bias because I've been watching scrims.
Yeah, that's very.
I agree.
That's why I didn't. That's why I didn't put Tej at that 5 spot because like he's not really proven other than like I guess for what I've seen in Cold War, Modern Warfare, he sucked. But you know, in Cold War,
that cat. That
watching him in
like
scrims, dude.
Cat.
TJ in scrims right now, he is so good. I'm blown away. It's night and day from what he was in Modern Warfare.
I wouldn't take
impressed
anything.
by him.
Except Envoy was a top. It's not that. I mean, Tej on the fringe, sure, whatever. But Envoy is definitely not just top, not just 5. Like he's higher than that.
It's kind of scary.
I'm pretty confident. I mean, you guys might get mad what I'm going to do here, but Envoy, I'm putting.
Yeah, it sounds like I probably will. All right, Sam, who's at 5 for you?
I have Gunless.
Okay. Yeah.
I have Gunless as a number 5. I am excited for him to be. I think he is the main sub, and then you have Priestahh as being.
There's so many guys to
OBJ,
consider here at 5. This sucks.
Yeah. Like
Well, they said they wanted him to be more of a Slayer role, Priestahh.
Yeah. Like I think Gunless will thrive because I think Gunless kind of wanted to be that.
Again, Gunless.
But the Envoy was that
he
for
has
the
the potential
Huntsman.
to be top 3.
Yeah.
Like if he's in the right situation, he can be unreal.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, five for me for the old Gunless.
man, dude, there's literally I had a list of like 6 guys here. I'm like, I have to choose one.
It was
I have
hard.
to choose one. Man. It's okay for me, it was between 2 guys.
Mhm.
Really, I think there was between 3 guys.
Yep.
It was between Gunless, Hook, and Priestahh for
Yep.
my 5th spot here.
Yep.
And I went with Hook.
Yeah.
But leaving Priestahh and Gunless off the list makes me hate myself. And I think I hate myself a little bit too much here.
If it helps, Priestahh is not on my list.
That doesn't help. I want someone to have Priestahh on their list, but it doesn't
I
look
know.
like anyone's going to, which makes me really sad. So
It's hard though. That 5th spot was.
there's so
insane.
many good players because
Yeah.
of how it plays out. The sub spot is really top heavy with like 5 to 10 really good players there.
Mhm.
But yeah. So all right, Rex, choose with your 4th guy. Who you got?
So my 4th one, and you guys can tell me if I'm allowed to do this or not. I mean, I want to put ILLeY as my 4th best sub.
Okay, well, that is not allowed. No.
That is no way. You
Well,
cannot
that's
do
the
that.
case. I guess I'm putting Envoy at 4. And then
Audible.
I guess we'll put, again, I want to put TJ, but the recency, how recent it is, I don't know if I can do it.
No.
But you know what? Who cares? I'm putting TJ at 5th, dude. He looks so good in Cold War, and I don't think it's going to change.
I mean,
he
at
looks really good.
just
There's literally
emphasize the recency
There's
bias.
literally been like 2 days of scrims.
Rex is boozing.
Dude, you guys know I don't just give it out like that. TJ was not like he was like really bad in Modern Warfare, but what I've seen from him in scrims so far, and I know
But 2
scrims
days of
whatever, but
scrims?
like, dude, he's going crazy. He's like one-man armying some of these games. It felt like.
I hear my grandma's looking good on scrims 2 days in too.
You hear?
I hear.
You hear?
She's frying.
So TJ's my prediction for 5th best sub.
All right.
I mean, hey, all right. I can get along with it. This is what we currently are looking like here.
Yeah.
We just had a hard cut edit there because I just realized that the sheet wasn't updating this whole time because I wasn't really. Whoops, that's the TV.
God.
But there's the updated. There's the updated ones now. That's our list here. Sorry, YouTube watchers, because it wasn't updating all the way off the rip, but now it is. So hopefully we're looking all right here.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks. Well, sorry guys, everybody out there, but there we go. Okay, so now we are headed here. Rex just announced Envoy, right? Yes.
Yep.
And so Sam, who you have at number 4?
Yeah. For number 4, I have Abezy.
Whoa.
Oh.
I'm curious
Very
who
interesting.
the next one is. Gotta be.
In my mind, there's a top 4 that are just tier 1, and then there's like a really, really good tier 2, with the 5 through like 10 probably.
Yeah.
But there's like really in my mind just that locked and loaded top 4 subs in the game right now. So Rex, kick us off with your top 3.
I'm going for number 3, Abezy.
Okay. Yeah.
And see, we're a little bit opposite. I have the top 3 are like your mainstay, like tier 1, and then below that is your tier 2.
I will say, like, I know we were roasting Josh on Envoy, but I think you're also underestimating Envoy. Like, the dude's insane. Like,
if I'm picking Abezy, Shotzzy, and Simp against Envoy, I'm taking Abezy, Shotzzy. Like, I'm taking those players every time.
I mean, I have Envoy at 4, but it's very close.
Yeah.
Like those guys they're hard to separate in how they bring value to their teams and how good they are. Yeah. But yeah, Sam, who do you have at 3 then?
Envoy.
Okay. All right. That's reasonable then.
Yeah.
Envoy over Abezy. That's interesting.
Yeah. I was just more, again, and it might be that Abezy was kind of shadowed by Simp, and maybe that's why I'm, doing it the way I am, where like Envoy was like the main guy for Huntsman, and Simp was the main guy for FaZe. But that's kind of how I see it. But again, the 4 are like neck and neck, or close.
Yeah. I mean, that's understandable. I mean, for me, I have Abezy at 3.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of all have like our guys here. For guys here, top 2.
I'm curious how we did the top 2 though.
I mean, I think me and Rex are going. This is where we're going to disagree here, I'd imagine. Rex, who do you have at number 2?
I'm gonna have Shotzzy at number 2.
Oh, very
Trust me, I
interesting.
wanted to put the number 1 guy, but I don't know. I'm not fully sold yet on the whole Shotzzy thing, but I'm pretty sold.
Interesting. Really, Sam? Who do you have at number 2?
I'm fully sold. I have Simp at number 2.
Wow, dude, really?
Yeah. I don't know. I've got a good feeling.
Really?
This year, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why? Any reason why specifically? Like in game, like thoughts? How it's going to change him Cold War?
Yeah.
It's just his development, how he understands certain things. S&D.
I think development.
I mean, Simp was just definitely significantly better in S&D.
Oh yeah, Shotzi's bad at S&D.
I wouldn't say.
No, he's not bad. He's not like bad, but he very much depends on his teammates in that game.
Yeah. Relatively, I guess.
He is the one finding those spots, though. Like,
well, it might be Illy finding those spots and telling.
Well, him and Illy both love finding those spots.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean,
I don't know. I'm excited to see the growth. Now, could I be wrong? Of course, I could be wrong. He could plateau, but I don't know. Something about Shotzzy, I think he's got more room to grow.
Oh, for sure.
So
yeah,
I think eventually Shotzzy will get that number 1 spot, but he really needs to learn S&Ds and just his brain game, the whole IQ of it all. I think he just needs to get better.
I mean, if you haven't figured it out, I have Shotzzy at 2 then, which means I have Simp at 1. I mean, Rex, that means you have Simp at 1. And Sam has Shotzzy at 1. So this is what it's looking like at this point here for you guys out there on YouTube now that it's finally updating. The sub spot for me, I had Hook, Envoy, Abezy, Shotzzy, and Simp. Rex?
TJ Haley, Envoy, Abezy, Shotzzy, Simp.
Samuel.
And then I've got Cunless at 5, Abezy at 4, Envoy 3, Simp 2, and then Shotzzy at number 1.
I mean, Rex, I'm surprised you didn't have Hook there. I thought you would.
The thing with Hook, and maybe Modern Warfare didn't give him a fair shot because of his role, but Hook is not, just wasn't cracked like these guys are kind of cracked.
Oh, come on,
you know what I mean? In getting like in
you
a fight,
have Tej in there.
I'm putting a bet on Tej though. Tej is like my prediction pick. TJ is like my sleeper pick. Like he's gonna do. I think Tej is gonna do great this year. To be honest.
Yeah.
Like a 180 from what he was in Modern Warfare.
Dang. You're putting your most underrated player in the league on Tej already.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Bets down. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I Gunless was right there for me, so I have no problem with him at 5. And besides that, we kind of are all in the same ballpark with the top 4.
Yeah.
So that's not too confusing. So when it comes to consensus, I feel like this might not be as hard as we originally thought it might be.
No.
So let's start with the AR since that's where we started with originally. This is where it'll be probably the most tough conversation, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you feel like is the most ballpark guy for 5? Want to start from the top then?
Let's start from the
You're
top.
gonna have to concede here.
I know. For
Octane.
Are you okay with Octane at number 1?
Yes.
A consensus at Octane. Okay.
Yes.
So at number 2,
Arcides.
You're okay with Arcides?
Yes.
You're gonna concede your formal.
Can we do 3 for formal?
3 formal. I agree with 3 formal.
I can concede to 3.
I have him at 4, but I'm the outlier with Slasher at 3, and Rex has formal at 3. You have formal at 1, so I'm okay with going formal at 3.
Yes.
I'll concede there. 4, we all have Skyz there, so we're gonna go Skyz at 4 with our consensus.
5 is gonna be the weird one.
5 is gonna be tough.
What do we do?
I would.
Well, I mean, based on math,
I'd put Slasher.
Based on math, it's supposed to be Slasher because Josh has him at 3. But me and Sam don't even have Slasher on the list. So how much does that affect where Slasher is on our list?
I mean, Slasher is 6.
I have Slasher before Clayster and Krim.
If this helps anything, Slasher was my number 5 and had beaten Krim, but then I flipped him.
All right, then it's got to be Slasher then.
So Slasher was my 6.
Okay, I mean, that's what I feel like makes like the most sense, at least in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 Octane, 2 Arcides, 3 formal, 4 Skyz, 5 Slasher. That's what it looks like for you YouTube folks.
Yep.
All right, let's go to flexes then. That was actually really painless. That wasn't even too bad at all. Okay, so let's start at 1. Cellium. Number 2. Illy. Okay, number 3.
3 has to be Dashy, I think, because
you have Dashy at 4.
I have 4, but then you and Frex have 3.
Okay.
So that makes sense to me.
I can throw in Dashy there. Okay, so Dashy, we're flying through this.
Yeah.
So at 4, you have Rex has Major at 4.
It's got to be Major then.
You have Major at 5. I don't have Major on the list.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be...
Or it's Temp. It's either Major or Temp, because Temp's at 5-5.
And then I don't have Temp.
Where would Temp be on your list? Where would Major be on mine?
Temp would be 6 for me.
Major would be 7 for me, behind Awakening.
So then probably Temp 4? No, sorry.
Rex,
you know
what? Do
you
feel
I'm
like?
okay with putting Awakening at number 4.
I would have Temp over Awakening.
Well, that makes no sense.
What?
I'm saying like,
number 3.
I'm saying in the consensus it has to be Temp over Awakening.
Because we both have Temp.
If I have 6, then you 2 have 5, and then Awakening's not even on your guys's. But like mine's 3. Wouldn't we need Temp over Awakening if we're gonna put Awakening on there? But then Major's.
I feel very uncomfortable with. I'm down to go Major Maniac Temp.
All right, let's do
I'm
that.
okay with that. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, let's go with that. Okay, so now to sub. I think this is going to be pretty painless, honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest debate is at 5, but at 1,
Simp.
can we agree on Simp?
Yep.
Sam.
Has to
Number
be.
2, we can go Shotzzy.
Yep.
Shotzzy.
Number 3,
Has to be Abezy.
Abezy.
Yep.
Number 4, Envoy, right, Rex?
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 is the question here.
This is like the one where it's like
Rex is Tej. I have Hook. Sam is Gunless.
I'm down for Hook.
I can do Hook.
I'm down with Gunless or Hook.
Let's do Hook.
Hook?
I'm more sold on Hook than Gunless right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was really painless. Okay, so guys, YouTube, this is what it looks like here. At 1, we have Simp. 2, we have Shotzzy. 3, we have Abezy. 4, we have Envoy. 5, we have Hook, and that's our consensus overall for the roles here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little segment here about our debate.
Yeah.
If you guys did, of course. Drop all your comments down below. I mean, it ended up being not too bad for the consensus overall, and I think it was a fun discussion as a whole. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, like, comment, subscribe. I think that's going to do it for the podcast as well. And we'll be talking a lot more about Black Ops Cold War and about what's coming up here. The scouting series is coming up soon. We're going to have to do a little bit more talk about the amateur scene as a whole leading up to that. And we're probably going to have some more fiery debates coming up here on the podcast very soon. So be on the lookout. But as always, guys, I'm your boy _SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam. And to our farthest right per usual is Rex, Shady, Nero. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.